Hey everybody, here's a little tutorial I did on how I did the V-carved inlays that I posted pictures of earlier. We open up V-carve Pro and click on create a new file. We're going to go with 2 inches by 2 inches on this, on a piece of 3/4 inch thick stock. We zero off the bottom of the workpiece because that's how I work with my machine. I like zeroing off the bottom. Small inlays like this, I like zeroing dead center on them. So we're zero dead center, and we're in inches. So everything looks good there. We click on OK. Now what we need to do is import the drawing, which is basically just going to be a JPG picture. And we click on import bitmap. I have the picture on my desktop, so we're already on desktop, and let's just scroll down and find the picture. There it is, the tree of life. Click on that, open, and it brings the picture into V-carve. Now we go down to the create vectors section, and we click on the trace bitmap. And we're just going to do this in black and white because we're not looking for any detail other than a good trace on the outline of this. And we'll play around with this slider bar a little bit. And we just want to get a good outline trace on this. So I'm just looking for good solid colors, good solid white on it here. And that looks pretty good. And preview that. It's got everything outlined pretty good, so we're going to accept that, and we'll close this out. And now we're going to go to move selected object, and we're going to select that trace I just did of the tree of life, and we're going to get that out of there over here on the side. We're going to close this, and now we're going to delete the picture that we imported to trace this. That's gone. Now we're going to select the trace vectors. We're going to click on our aligning tools here. And we want this dead center in that 2x2 work area. And there it is, dead center in the 2x2 work area. Now if I wanted to change the size on this, there is a sizing tool here. If I clicked on that, I could pretty much just drag it, and make it any size I wanted to, from nothing, pretty much as big as I wanted to. But it looked like it was, I just undid all that. It looks pretty good. It's probably about 1.75 inches high here, and we'll keep it at that. Now the next thing I do before I go any further is I'm going to minimize this V-carve box. I'm going to open up V-carve again. I'm going to go create a new file again, and it's going to automatically have my defaults up there from what I just did, which is what I want anyway, because we really need two files here. I need the male file for this inlay, and I need the female file. So I just want to save this vector over here, and I can do that pretty easily by just copy and paste. And I'm just going to shrink that down and leave that for later. That'll be when I cut the male. This one here is going to be the female part of the inlay. Alright, so we have that saved. So now, the next thing I have to do, I have to mirror this. Either the male or the female has to be mirrored, because when you go to put them together, one of them has to be reversed, otherwise they're not going to fit. So, let's mirror this one. And we have in Transform Objects here, we have a mirroring tool. And create a mirrored copy. Vectors are selected. So let's flip this. Let's create the mirrored copy to the right. And you can see we have a mirrored copy there. So now we have to get rid of the original. And we're just going to select that. And delete it. Okay, let me shrink this down a little bit. And now we select the mirrored vectors, our centering tool, and get it right back in the middle of the workpiece. Okay, now we're ready to create the tool paths for the female part of this inlay. So we're going to go over to our tool paths tab. What we want to do is we want to select a V-carve engraving tool path. Alright, so our start depth is going to be 0. Our flat depth, or basically the deepest we're going to go on this, is 0.3 of an inch, or 3/10 of an inch. So I have that filled in there. We're going to use a 60-degree quarter-inch V-bit to do this. You know, I can go to my bit library that I already have programmed in V-carve and pick at it, you know, whatever bit I want to do. I have all my parameters for, you know, final pass, step over, clearance, step overs, you know, what I want the bit to do. It'll be transferred to what the CNC does, basically. Alright, so we have that bit picked out. We don't need a flat area clearance tool here because there's not going to be any big flat areas to clear out here, so the V-bit will do fine here all by itself. Vectors are selected, bit selected. And next we could name the file before we go anywhere else. So we'll call this Tree of Life Female, and we'll calculate this tool path. If you notice, once you hit calculate, it switches to a 3D view. It basically shows you the tool path there. But you can also animate it. And the neat thing with V-carve is it'll show you the finished cut. And pretty much what you see on the animation is what you're going to get. Or at least it's been in my experience. But it's going to go a lot faster than what the machine will go. But here's what it looks like when it runs through the preview. And then of course you can pan that around and you can zoom in and zoom out. But it looks pretty good. So if I was actually going to do this toolpath, my next step would be to save the toolpath. So we click up here on Save Toolpaths. We click our toolpath list. Make sure we have the right post processor. And since this is just going to be a single toolpath with no tool changes, I use a single tool post processor. Click on Save Toolpath. It'll come up with the name that we named the file. It's going to save it as a single tool tap file. And I have a tap file folder on my desktop. I just save it in there. And that's it. Female inlay is done. If I get time a little bit later, I'll post up how we do the male.